Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining this session. Uh, and Good evening and good morning from where I'm joining. I'm joining from Toronto. It's very early morning here, but as we know, like SQL wakes up, keeps everybody wake up early, right? Uh, so this session is about building high-performing center of excellence. In this, you will be seeing all the details regarding what you need to do to build that center of excellence in your organization. Let's start about a little about me. I am Vishal. I am VP in Analytics in Concretely AI. I am also founder of two AI products, one of which is actually in the assessment, which means I know the world of assessment, which I will talk to you about a little bit. I am a 5 times MVP, 6 times MCT. That's enough about me. Let's jump into our today's agenda. So today's agenda is fairly straightforward. First, we'll start about what is COE. Let's start by understanding what is center of excellence. Here, we are not talking about Fabric COE. In general, what is your understanding about COE? Not considering Fabric. Let's understand COE first, and then dive into what is Fabric COE, what are the roadmaps in the Fabric COE, and what are the 12 different steps that Microsoft suggests you to take in your organization to have a complete Fabric roadmap. And then we'll touch a little bit about what are the various infrastructure component you need to think when you are developing your Fabric COE. And then we'll end our slides by Fabric best practices, which are very important when you are considering the COE, right? Now let's start with the first one. What is COE in general? Okay, at the heart, COE in the technology represent the centralized unit within the organization. It's actually represent one team, one organization at the core, right? It's a team of experts, a team of business experts, early adopters, those who are really tech enthusiasts, right? And the executive. Based on that, you bring that team together and build your center of excellence. Now, the main part is, you are forming that centralized team which can answer any information related to that technology. And here we are talking just a COE in general, right? Now, these are the 6 things that your COE team must have. Expertise, the most important, right? So when we are talking about COE in this technology, which means we are saying that we really have excellence in that specific technology. It doesn't mean that you need to know everything. It means that you need to know enough that you can serve your customers. There is that fine thread line, like, right? Now, the second one is guiding and the leadership. Your COE team actually sets the gold standards, methodologies, policies for guiding the leadership. If let's say a customer coming into you as a COE team talking about, hey, I heard this technology, I need to use it for this purpose. As a COE, you should be able to answer those. You should be able to give them a roadmap like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to get started, right? So that guidance and leadership is the key. Now, the third one is knowledge sharing and the training. This is the key for the center of actually center of excellence exists because of the knowledge sharing capability. Now, the fourth one is innovation and development. See, every technology is growing so fast, right? You have to be ahead in that curve in the innovation and the development, so that before even your customer coming into you and saying that, hey, what about this, I heard about this in the online, can we use that? Instead of that, I want your COE team to tell about your customers that, hey, these are coming in the next phase or next month. It's better to we look at this and how you can use it in your customer technology, right? Now, the second last one is the support and implementation. This is the key, right? It's very pivotal for offering and hands-on assistance for your customer in the technology. A last one is strategic alignment. It is very important that you align various people, align with your COE needs and the customer needs, right? So your customer doesn't have to look for, hey, who is my actually Fabric admin? Who is my developer, who is my expert, who can guide me in the data source connection, right? They should know by just by looking at your COE website, looking at your COE placeholder where all the things are already defined. So these are the six key pillar in general any COE technology should have, right? Now let's talk about what is the responsibility for the COE team, right? Now, as I said, one team, one organization. It implies that unified and holistic approach for any excellency in technology, starting with first one unified vision. COE aligns closely with the organization's overall needs, right? When you align with your organization needs, you are thinking about, hey, what is that stuff that company needs so that company will grow, right? That is the first thing as a COE team should do. Now, if your alignment, your COE vision is not aligned with that, then definitely there is a clash. You are going in the wrong direction. Company doesn't need you to go there, right? So it's very important, and the core more past that you should have a unified vision and the goals when you are setting up, as a COE. The second one is cross-functional integration. When you talk about cross-functional integration, rather than operating in isolation, here you are giving the platform for all the teams, all the people, that they can come together and share their vision about the technology, right? Now, third one is shared responsibility. It's not the one person who is talking about the technology. It's about entire team, entire organization talking about the same technology. Now here leadership comes into very much important role. Leadership is the one who will explain like, hey, this is what where we are heading, this is what is our shared goal, we need to achieve this together, right? uh, the third one is inclusive communication, which means your COE communications opens every part in organization. It's not just a specific, right? It's for everybody. Even if, let's say, you started, for example, a Fabric implementation, don't that let have a boundary behind certain departments. Open it up to all the departments. Let all the departments jump in, see about what is Fabric technology. Recently, when we implemented Fabric, we initially only have one department, but within the 2 weeks we invited all the departments. What happened because of that is, those departments already thinking to do something in the data extraction and the analytics. Now they got to know, hey, company vision is going towards the shared platform, shared analytics, one team, one organization way, right? So they know that this is where company is going. So they started thinking about how they can move, or how they can align their vision also towards the company, right? So that's why including everybody in communication is important. Now, the fourth one is cultural integration and company-wide influence. For that, you definitely need evangelist in your organization. So see who is the rock star who can talk about the technology in your organization. Schedule those calls, and we are going to listen about the different phases that we are going to perform to implement COE. So those influencers inside your organization for the technology is very important. So I dedicated these two slides specifically in general for any technology, how you are going to implement COE. Now let's talk about Fabric. Now, before jumping into Fabric, I'm sure that you have listened about Fabric a lot. That's why only for this slide, I have a timer. I'm going to talk only about 2 minutes for this specific slide. So for data extraction, we use Data Factory. For data transformation, we use Data Factory and Synapse Data Engineering. For data warehousing and modeling, we have a Synapse Data Warehouse housing experience in the Fabric. The most favorite tool is Power BI for visualization. The data science is Synapse Data Science, where you can perform your data science operations, perform modeling. Real-time data is nothing but streaming analytics. Now, Microsoft also called it the event house. So you have a data warehouse, lake house, and the event house all together coming into one lake. The second last is data activator. Whenever something is occurred and you want to notifying it, we use the data activator. Any alerts is fall into data activator. And the last one is one lake, which is a data storage for your centralized purpose. That was my 2 minute pitch for Fabric. What is Fabric? Those who don't know Fabric, these are all things that you can do in the Fabric, right from the data extraction, data transformation, data modeling, data analytics, data science, and the data alerts. All the things that you can perform in one platform, which is very important, and which is like in past, just to have this all things together, you have to run close to 20 different services in Azure. Now it is all SaaS. You have to run one service, and that's it. Everything is managed by the platform. Now that we understand a little bit about the Fabric, and this was for the executives who wanted to know about the Fabric, let's deep dive into how to get started with your first COE team. Now here, I want to just have a marker. Let me have that marker on the screen. Give me 1 minute. So starting with defining objects and goals for the COE team. This is core. You have to define your goals and the objective for your COE team. What is that thing that you will achieve in next 2 weeks, next 4 weeks, next 6 weeks? You have to define that objective for your COE team. The second one is securing the executive support. You know that without that blessing from the executive, you'll not be able to do that thing. So you have to secure that executive blessings. Conduct comprehensive assessment. This third point I take very seriously. Actually, this is where you baseline what is your customer understands about the technology, okay, and then based on that you grow. Okay, let's say you when you are talking to the department, they don't know anything about the Microsoft Fabric. That might be possible, right? And this is where you do that 5 or 10 question assessment. Hey, what do you understand about the Fabric technology? What you want to achieve through the Fabric technology? Have that 10 set of questions for your all the departments, those who are trying to get into. Now you have that baseline assessment, right? And do the same assessment after 2 months, 1 month, or whenever you feel that, hey, your customer have grown with you in the technology, do that assessment. Then you know what is the next step that your department or that specific team needs to be performed. So assessment is key when it comes to setting up and how to get started with the COE team. Set clear implementation goal. Very simple. Uh, skilling is a key. Now here we are talking about 6 different verticals, right? You let me tell you, be honest, your Power BI team is not your Fabric expert. Fabric have a lot of other capabilities that not only a Power BI is a key part of it, no doubt about it, but it has a core component, data engineering, data science, right? So you need to skill your team so that they are capable enough to do the technology, right? So skilling is very key. And see, Microsoft is doing so many in a day trainings like Fabric in a day, data engineering in a day, data factory in a day. Those are going to definitely help your team to get onboarded and get to know what technology can do more. Then develop a plan and the knowledge sharing and training. Even if your team have undergone some training, some knowledge sharing, make sure that you have that centralized place where they can share, right? Establish clear governance standard. Key when the technology to fail is mostly because you don't have proper governance. You have to set up that proper governance for sure. Implement and monitor progress very carefully, and then uh, foster that collaboration and communication throughout your organization. Now this is where you need to have these points to know how you can start your COE team. Now let's take a step back and let's understand what is Microsoft Fabric adoption roadmap, right? So this is a roadmap which Microsoft proposed, that you need to take this 12 different steps. to achieve anything in Microsoft Fabric as a COE, right? Let's first understand what is this Fabric roadmap, and then we will jump into 12 different steps that Microsoft suggests you to do in your organization for the Fabric. Now, this roadmap is a strategic guide. It's not a blueprint, right? So when I say about strategic guide, which means it gives you the details, but it doesn't tell you how exactly you are going to do. It's your COE lead or your expert. They are going to decide how exactly they are going to do in that manner. It's actually beyond the technology, right? People and process. The most important is organization data culture. I think that is the first point that you will learn in the Fabric adoption roadmap. The adoption focus is should be, it's not just a usage number. It is integrating effective through the process and support various tools and the technology that your user might need it, right? Now, fourth one is adoption maturity level. And we are just talking about the things that Microsoft proposed in the maturity level. So maturity level is something that you have to do through via assessment. This is where those 10 questionnaires will come into picture. You have to baseline your assessment. You have to baseline your team needs and see where exactly you need help and further grow on top of that, right? Cross-functional alignment. In the cross-functional alignment, it's nothing but how you can align seamlessly with the other analytics platform such as SQL, Azure, or any sources that you are trying to get into Fabric, so that you will have that unified experience, right? Now, your journey always continues with the continuous improvement. Now Fabric also supporting CI/CD, at least in the preview, but you can still go through that and find out how you can have that continuous improvement in your Fabric COE implementation. There are various misconceptions about the uh, Fabric COE, such as, hey, if I implement this right, I will be able to get achieved done 100%. No, COE is there to help your department. COE is there to help your department to guide. COE is not a 100% blueprint that they should do this and then only this will happen. No, you have to be flexible enough so that your department will come along with you, right? Now, the last one in this is complementary guidance. That this is actually, these are the 12 steps adoption roadmap that Microsoft asks you to do. And I'm just bringing that slide uh, from the learn.microsoft, right? And these are the 12 steps that Microsoft asks you to take. We are going to take one step at a time, understand what is data culture, what is executive sponsorship, and learn what exactly things that you can do as per the roadmap. And these are the 12 things. If you do these 12 things, I'm sure that you will be having a successful Fabric COE team throughout your organization. It's not a one-day job. It's actually over the period of time you will see your COE teams also getting mature. They are also getting to know more about technology. But I will definitely suggest, like after every 2 months or so, go and check these 12 steps. What exactly you need to do to achieve this various 12 step, because at the start when you will do, you might be having, definitely when people started using Power BI, you have seen that shift between thinking in the analytics, right? There are people only thinking about analytics, not worrying about the data extraction, data transformation, right? So the data culture plays the very important role. So let's talk about one by one about all the steps, starting with the data culture. In the data, as you can see in the screen, when I will be going through those 12 different steps, you will see that will get populated over here, all the 12 different steps. And then all the things that you need to achieve will be also coming in slide one by one, starting with first one, data culture. Now, in in the data culture, the leadership plays very important role, right? You have to emphasize how your top management takes the data driven decision. You have to foster that culture where the data is cornerstone of every topic, all the decisions. So leadership plays very important in your data culture. Now, next is selective measures for behavioral influencers. You have to take that KPIs, so that you know that what is that behavior which influence to use the technology, and you have to make sure that you nurture that influencer. The third one is integrating data scientist and the business, the key component. Even if your data scientist doesn't like the new tools, I know there are organizations where the data scientists only want to use certain technology, but, ask them to be open up and be mindful about the fabric and see how they can use, because fabric does have everything what they need. It just matter of few days that they understands how fabric will help them, right? If they have never seen fabric, then tell them, hey, yeah, think this as a new tool, right? See how you can use it, how you can foster the various nurturing around the technology. Now, solving your data, the fourth one is solving the data access challenge. Uh, as we know that your department need a data source details, need the data from the source. There are various reasons that we cannot give access to directly data source, and this is the main reasons all this technology is existing right now. So you extract that seamlessly without your department is getting into data source. You help them to get the data, and then let them nourish the data, do the data modeling on top of it. So you have to solve that first data access challenge that they have. Now, qualifying uncertainty in decision making. This is where you are the one who is qualifying those decision making capabilities for the technology. Practicality in the proof of concept. Uh, you know that your executive doesn't like the POC. Talk about MVP instead of POCs, right? So when you implement directly a product level demos or product level projects, then your executives take a more interest. The last one is just in time specialized training. You don't have to be expert in everything, right? This is where you are coming in. You need to know enough where you can get started, and know what your people needs, and ask them to use the same, right? So that's about the data culture. The second one is executive sponsorship. As I said in my first slide also, when we are talking about only COE technology, right? Executive sponsorship is the key. Executive sponsorship will bring everything together. The starting with one is strategic alignment. Here you have a technology adoption aligned with your organizational strategic objective. Visibility and priority. This is where you provide the visibility to all the departments about the technology, and you provide a certain priority, right? Everybody wants to jump on to use for the fabric, but you have to prioritize that. You have to tell end users, hey, let's start with what is important for the organization. Then you have that priority, right? When you have that priority, you can take those project. Resource allocation. So as you can see that any organization who is getting started with the fabric, they 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 have to properly allocate their resources based on their skill set, right? Not all the departments will have all the fabric experience, no, right? And this is where you coming in, having that cross-functional skill set in that specific department, so that they are not looking anywhere else other than the COE team. Sponsorship. The key for everything is the having an executive sponsorship, overcoming that resistance, right? Now, there I have seen that there are certain departments in certain companies that they are stuck with one specific technology because that technology works for them. So you have to somehow overcome that resistance, talking to that department, seeing what is the organization vision, and what are the modern technologies, right? This is where fabric really come into picture about the modern technology. Stakeholder engagement, how you will sustain your stakeholder communication for one view, one team, one organization. Risk management. Now there are the certain things that fabric cannot do yet. You have to find out other ways to mitigate those risks. I have seen the organization where they are saying that, hey, if I don't have this, I will not use Fabric. But this is where, as an COE expert, you are explaining them, hey, there are other ways that still you can achieve, and see what are the departmental needs are they in the Fabric release plan, right? Now, I have worked with the clients. They needed a private endpoint right away, but it's still in preview mode, right? This is where you coming and telling them, right, hey, it's coming in. There might be the release plan. Show them, hey, where is the release plan? Show them like you are mitigating that risk in the future, at least, right, by providing them proper guideline. Now, this is about the executive sponsorship. The step three is business alignment. How you will align your business need to your actual users. Starting with first one, you can see you have to think about the users. Users are the key in the your alignment. Now, in terms of users, you might see that there are many ways that you can do this activity. Starting with developing a bond with your departments, like in terms of technology, explaining them what the users look like, where are the various roles in the Fabric, right? Fabric data engineer, Fabric data scientist. So that sort of, you have to first think about the users, then you have your responsiveness, agility, and responsiveness. This is for the synergy between your data culture and the business strategy that must be nimble for your environment, right? Now, today, you know that fast-paced market and the data analytics, we need to adapt quickly for your changing business need, and this is where the agility will help you. It's like fail fast so that you can achieve faster. I always say that to all the client. It's better to fail faster so that you know that what are your limitations for the technology and what are the things you need to do to achieve more, right? Now, the last one is strategic support and the business goals. We already talked about them in the previous two slides, so I will not go deep into the strategic supports and the goals. Let's see the ownership management. In terms of ownership management, you have your center where you are talking about business led self service, where you are giving ownership for their experience directly to the departmental needs, right? Now, the second one is managed self service, where you have your team of expert who are helping departments to be self sufficient, right? And the third one is the enterprise BI. So on the enterprise BI, this is where you have a dedicated team who is doing everything. And the last one is business ownership. Now, in any organization, you have all of these four things, separate, but you have to bring all of them together, right? You have a people who is doing self-service BI. You have a people who are supporting the self-service user, and then you have your own Fabric or BI team dedicated who is doing their own things. It's not they are all separate, they are all one team, one organization. This is where COE will bring them together to solve a common problem, common vision, right? Now, the fifth step is content delivery scope. Now, you can see on the content delivery scope, we have a personal delivery. As an individual, what you are delivering for that specific technology. Then you have a team delivery, where as a team you are delivering a specific thing. Let's say you have to extract five different source, and you have to extract 100 tables from each source, right? Instead of developing a package for each source or for each table, how you will build that one framework that will extract information from all the five source, right? That is very much important, and that's where team will come into picture, where you are delivering as a team. As a team, you are delivering various framework so that all other departments can take help of that. Then you have an enterprise delivery. So at the center, whatever you are delivering as an individual or as a team, you are delivering as an enterprise. And the last one is the department at all, the delivery, which means you're delivering your success in the Fabric is unified. You you don't have to deliver what your needs are. You have to deliver what your organizational needs are. That is very fine line between that. So as a COE team, when any person is working on the Fabric, you coming there and seeing that, how you will, how every person delivering, every team is delivering, is helping your organization's main vision, main goal, right? Now, the step 6 is COE roles in the roadmap. Now, there are various roles or roadmap that COE can take, starting with the expertise hub. This is where Fabric Center of Excellence act as a centralized hub for all your technical and business needs, facilitation and the support, helping people to facilitate their needs, their problems, right? If your business user have a problem in the Fabric, they are stuck, it's your responsibility as an COE team to jump in and help them. You are the catalyst for the adoption, right? Then you are building that community, you are building and bridging that gap between knowledge sharing and continuous learning, right? So as an I will bring back the COE role. As in COE role, you are actually performing all of these roles at once. Sometimes you are performing very specific role, sometimes you are performing all the roles together. Now, what's the 7 point or 7 step that Microsoft suggests is governance. In terms of governance, you have 4 different steps that you can take. You can define your data usage, right? What are the different data uses that your organizations can have? It's actually the foundation and responsible data management, for the efficient data management. You talk about that when you are implementing COE. Then compliance with the regulation. Let's say you have a sensitive information in your data source, and you need to define that regulations, how you are going to give that output to all the users. If there are sensitive information, how you can mask that, right? You have to define that before people are started using that data. So compliance and regulation is very important. The third one is empowering the users. Governance is not means that you cannot do this, right? You cannot do this, or a governance is not meaning of you cannot access this, right? You need to give a proper reason. You are empowering users that, hey, this is a sensitive information as per the organization policy. We should not have access to this, but we have some other way of masking this information so that you can still access it and perform your further analytics. But empowering user, not stopping them to do something. The last one is balancing freedom and control. I i often found that this last step is very uh, important when you are delivering the COE, especially coming from the contracting background. It is very hard to tell that, hey, you cannot do this or you can achieve this. So you have to balance that freedom and the control. Good governance always strikes a dedicated balance, right? It's about granting our users what they can do and have that autonomy about the things that they can do. Now, uh, this is about the governance in roadmap. Let's talk about mentoring and user enablement. In terms of mentoring, you can see you can enable user uh, autonomy, which means how they are self-sufficient to do their own things. Then you have mentoring as a COE responsibilities. This is where COE team coming into picture and talk about what they can do. The third one is adherence and the governance guideline. This is where you are producing that document or a centralized repository where you are seeing that, hey, whatever you are doing in terms of new projects or existing projects, you are adhering to all of those governance and guidelines rules. Now, the last one is impact on adoption and success. You have to give that success. You have to show the success throughout your all the departmental needs, so that everybody in the organization know what you are doing, what other departments are doing, how they can utilize the things from other department and not to do the same thing again and again. Right? Now, Let's see what is a step nine. I know this is getting a little bit monotonous. This is where step nine will come into picture. How you are going to host your community of practice meeting. This is where you are defining a community of practice. And when you're defining community of practice, it's nothing but you are giving the stage to everybody to talk about the technology. You are bringing in all of them together. You are talking about what things works, what things doesn't work. Let everybody talk about the same fabric technology. You are facilitating a knowledge sharing. You are facilitating what you saw recently, what are the things is helpful, then boosting your adoption effort. Most of the time, community of practice is, if it's a Fortune 500 client where you have at least 10 teams which are using Fabric, I suggest schedule those community of practice twice a month. But if it is a small organization, once in a month is always good. But you should have that common stage for all your departments to talk about one technology. The last one is encouraging the collaboration and the innovation. I want to talk about the last point about the encouraging and collaboration and innovation. So we are going in one organization. I don't want to take the name, but we saw that there were 40 people in the community of practice have joined. Nobody, I mean, everybody was talking how good they were using, what they were solving, and then there was one person always saying about, hey, I tried this, it doesn't work. I tried that, it doesn't work. As a COE team, what we did is we scheduled a separate call with that person. And what we saw is that person was developing his own everything, like right from the ingestion, data modeling, everything. It's his surprisingly he was doing his own, and the main core part is the business knowledge or domain knowledge what he have nobody else had, right? Which means if let's say if he decided to go, or let's say if he published some reports, nobody have access, nobody knows knowledge, nobody knows where is the data coming. You don't want to be in that space. This is where you explain how being part of COE, being part of having that centralized sharing, utilizing the service account for everything, utilizing so that there is no user dependency on what you develop. There is a team which can support and pick up where you left off. That is very important. So bringing all of them together is very important. Now that person is actually part of COE team where he feels that he was empowered. He feels that, hey, he's contributing to the main organization vision. So it's very important to listen each and every person in your community. Now, in terms of step 10, let's see what is steps 10 brings. User support. And this is where, as an user support, it can be informal, peer-to-peer assistant, or it can be a formal. I have seen people are already having a Power BI and build on their help desk, which means, let's say if you want to access to the Power BI, you have that already defined in your organization help desk. Like all the Power BI support requests will go here. Similarly, you have to define the Fabric related user support as well. You define those, hey, these are the 30 things that users will ask related to Fabric, access, data source, gateway access, all those things. You define or embedded that in your user support. And the last one is issue resolving. In case if user have any issues, you need to know where you can collaborate, where you can foster that all of the things together, and you are answering everything right as a, your centralized documentation, and you are doing that as a user support day in and day out. Mainly your level 4 support will not be knowing everything about the Fabric, but you can guide them, you can provide them various tools that they can have so that they can achieve what they can do, or and they can forward that level 2 support, level 1 support accordingly. You are giving that roadmap for the user support in COE. Now the 11th is system oversight. uh, I see system oversight as a main Fabric administration and fostering all the things together. Now here you are doing your routine administration, supporting your internal processes, tools management, most important, monitoring the system performance. Now when Fabric launch, it also have certain templates that you can use and see how is monitoring going on beyond the your Fabric capacity. You can have that one view for your data security, and further you get the feedback from the user about what they feel about the technology, and have that loop, ongoing continuous loop to continuous improvement, right? Now, 11th one is just a system oversight. Let's talk about the 12th one, and we are coming into the last point, which is a change management. Change is difficult in every organization. Now, here we are talking about if we have something already published in production, how you're going to change that. Right now, those organizations which are like, certain organizations have strict guidelines. They cannot take preview feature in the production, and this is where you are giving at least a change management detail if there are any changes in the products, right? There are any changes in the packages, there are any updates, you are defining all the change management details so that you minimize the disruption. You assign specific responsibility, what are the team is going to do. Again, while doing that, developing all the practices, building that one repository, providing the training, and having the risk also. If you update this, you need to know what are things it's going to touch, and what are the things might break, so that you are prepared for that next step. So these are the 12 steps. I will definitely suggest, bring your COE team together, talk about all these steps, talk about what are the things you need to do to achieve the change management. What are the things you need to do to achieve the system oversight? Like, hey, routine administration. That's the first point. What are the things it comes in routine administration, right? Bi-weekly checking what are your capacity looks like, bi-weekly checking how the data extraction is bringing in data and not utilizing all the capacity in the Fabric. Is there any more capacity you need? Those are things that you need to define when you will bringing things together. Now let's talk about something else, which is, what are the various components that you need to consider when you are talking about the Fabric infrastructure. After looking at those 12 steps, now we are changing our focus to various components, right? In the component, you have a one lake, you have on-premises data gateway. These are very important because if your data is in on-prem, you need to have a gateway to fetch the data from on-premises. A Fabric administration, the key. Then you have a Fabric domain, still in preview, but you need to understand that you can define a workspace inside the domain. I am sure there are various classes that already happen in the SQL Bits conference regarding domains in the Fabric workspace. Then you have a Fabric license at the last, which is every workspace have a certain licenses, right? These are the various infrastructure components you need to consider. Now, is this list complete? I will say no. This is like starting point for your consideration, right? Now you need to go further behind. Which packages you are going to use, which is the ingestion framework that you are going to use. Talk about all those details. How you can have a template for everything, template for extraction, template for data science, so that your end user doesn't have to look for those things. Now, again, I added this slide just for your understanding that you can see what is a release plan for the Fabric as a tool. Right? So if your organization needs to have, let's say, recovery, like without recovery of that specific component, you cannot go in production. There are certain organizations, they have that strict rules. So you need to know when are those things coming in Fabric so that you can explain those to your users. So that's why Fabric release plan is very important. How you, as a COE team, you bring in release plan in the your talk is very important, right? Now let's talk about quickly what are the COE implementation steps quickly. Okay, you are building the COE team, then you are doing the assessment. Once you are doing the assessment, you are defining that one specific vision and objective. Then you are developing a governance structure, establishing policies and procedure for your implementation, right? Uh, then you implement the technology and tools. You are developing a skills for your company or team. Then you are executing your pilot project, community of practice, hosting that weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly team meetings as a COE. Then you measure and scale report, right? And then further you expand and scale and learn and adapt. These are the 12 implementation steps that I suggest in any organization to implement Fabric COE end to end. Now, you might ask like how we should exactly do, and this is where I have given this various phase level initiative. This will be part of slide you will be getting when we upload the slide. You will have this. So phase one will be initiation, then implementation, training and community. All this are embedded into various phases. Now, if your organization is small, then phase one might look like very like 1 or 2 weeks. But if organization is huge, then because of that, your phases might be more in depth. But this all phases should take somewhere close to 6 to 12 weeks. But as I said, CO is not a one-time thing. It's always continuous improvement, continuous development. So you have that reoccurring meetings also. Especially in terms of COE, you are doing these things every year. Actually, if you ask me, every year you should have restructure these things, check what is works, what doesn't work. And then lastly, we have Fabric best practice. But I don't want to cover each and everything. I will just keep this slide going and we'll open up for questions. So, in terms of Fabric best practices, you are talking about regular audits, adherence to the legal uh, company standards, and then user automation, and have those stakeholder engagement and all those details. Now we'll open up the floor for the questions if we have any. I cannot hear if we are talking about the questions.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. We have a question from online. How do you avoid the center of excellence becoming a bottleneck in the organization?
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good question. So mainly, you are not you are never a bottleneck. First of all, you are never stopping people to do things. You are there to help people to do things quicker, faster, reliable, all these things, right? uh, I have seen that, sometimes COE teams, they have certain standards, like they need to get approval from COE team to do certain things. No, you should not be doing that things, because then you are the bottleneck. Because COE team is very limited. Sometimes it's a 4 people teams. Sometimes even it's a shared team, right? Which means nobody is available there to support, right? So you have to define that. Uh, if you are getting the approval from COE team for everything, that's not the right way to do it. COE team is there to provide that roadmap, governance, and the checklist, right? It's not a bottleneck. Yeah, it should not be bottleneck. You, as a COE team, you should solve that bottleneck. Any other questions we have?
No, it looks like no more questions. And yeah, it's time.
Um,
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.